douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics, yo. douglAR politics. Listen, douglAR politics, yeah. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics, yeah. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics, yo. douglAR politics.
Good evening and welcome to douglAR Politics. Start it off. The Prince of Port of Spain, the greatest cricketer of all time, the entertainer, Brian Charles Lara, has been selected to be the coach of Sunrisers Hyderabad. Is it still Hyderabad? Sunrisers, yes, Hyderabad in the 2023 Indian Premier League. Well done, Brian Charles Lara. I hope you know, my brother, coaching and playing is two separate things. So you have to formulate your strategy. You have to know your social interactions with your players. You have to get up on your tactics. We know you know the game and so on. But to bring chemistry, to bring players together, you have to get your speeches correct, how to motivate, how to understand, know who are the ones that you want to put on the field with the authority that you have to do. It's not just a pose, a picture thing, Brian Charles Lara, but here's my boy, I know you're going to do well. Well, I'm going to have to back Sunrisers Hyderabad, boy. Well, yeah, he's a Fatima man, so he must support that too, you understand? But talking from one positive in sport to just a negative. I see swimming pool scandal. Residents say closure of Koki and Kuva community facilities is a disgrace. The PNM has for the last 4 or 5 years just closed down swimming facilities across Trinidad and Tobago. The residents, the people, the children have been unable to utilize these facilities. $1 million facilities just going to waste, while the Mamagai people in Lavanti and Maloney and built 2 ponds where man could go inside and stand up and so on and say it's world class, but yet the world class facilities are closed from Friday to Sunday. So when people actually going to use these pools, there was a dream and a vision that Kamla Prasad Bisesa had to have every child under the age of 8 learn to swim, to become water competent. What would this have done? Number one, it would have dropped dramatically the number of deaths we have in Trinidad and Tobago during our holidays and our celebrations due to drowning. Everybody would be water competent. We live on a twin island state. Then it would have given coaches like myself and many others the opportunity to throw our eyes on talented young children, to look for those national heroes, to unearth talent and to funnel them and put them in pathways to success. Put them with the coaches who could improve their technique and get them going to represent the red, white, and black. It would have also done many different things across the board in conjunction with the greatest aquatic center in the Western Hemisphere, built by Kamla Prasad Bisesa. So you could show them while I'm talking there, Archie, that Kamla built
world-class sports facilities
in the
that
USA.
inspire.
It does not exist. That aquatic center is the best in the Western Hemisphere. This was all to fuel 2 things: total participation in sport and elite level performance. This was to generate foreign exchange so that people could come there. It should have been active every day with our locals unearthing talent, our elderly, our families utilizing it for exercise, for fitness, for healthy lifestyle. Coaches and elite trainers would have been coaching the elite athletes who they saw with talent. And then in the months of November, from November 20th to January 20th, we would have encourage university teams from Europe, from Canada, from the USA, club teams, community teams, YMCA teams from the cold climates to come down here and pay $5 US per hour per athlete, and they would have trained for 4 hours per day there. They would have used our taxis, stay in our hotel, eat our foods, go out to restaurants, and created a sport tourism hub. Then we'd also have competitions that would have been on ESPN and Fox Sports. Not just have a competition that you're not ready for. Hosting competitions would have provided 2 avenues. One, opportunities for our elite athletes to perform, national pride, and to create some love of country and support for our athletes. And then it would have showcased our talent, our brilliant facilities, and our people. Therefore, marketing Trinidad and Tobago as a tourist destination, not only for sport, but you could come back to relax yachts for your honeymoon, and then across the road would have been the medical complex for medical tourism. All of these creating a growth pole right there in that avenue. But then came the PNM. No plan, no idea, no concept. That alone that I spoke about for the swimming between the month of November 20th to January 20th, they could have earned upwards of 2.1 million US pure profit. And all our athletes, all of our children could have utilized that facility for free, because that would have been sufficient revenue to run it for the year. We could have also had Chinese coaches coming down to increase and to teach our babies how to dive, the best diving well, the dry dive pit, all that is now crumbling and decaying because it's not used, because the PNM has no plan. And now they shut down every pool across Trinidad and Tobago. Kamla Prasad Bisesa wanted to build 34 more 25-meter pools so that every young child in primary school could have been taught to swim. It would have created jobs for coaches, for trainers, for physiotherapists, for psychologists, for those who learn to swim, for those who are there for aqua therapy and so on, providing avenues for a burgeoning industry of aquatic sport brilliance. But yet we have the PNM and all the pools have collapsed. They're green. Frogs, even the aquatic center turned green and had frogs in it because they could not utilize the pumps. They imagine that there's an aquatic center that I swam in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, back in 1979, the Hall of Fame Aquatic Center where Jack Nelson Swim Club was. That was designed and built in 1974, and since then to now has never seen the color green. But our state-of-the-art facility built by Kamla Prasad Bisesa under the PNM, they're so cheap, they so have no plan, they have no idea. They allowed that to turn green. The cycling velodrome, the air condition didn't function for 16 months. In Grandy, the basketball court is warped and cannot be utilized in a multi-purpose facility. They did not refurbish the Jean Pair, or the Hazy Crawford, or the Dwight York, and all of these stadiums now, when money was left there for the PNM to utilize for the people, for sport, they took the money and spent it somewhere else, and nothing happens, and all of our facilities are dilapidated. No sports tourism, no development, no utilization by the nationals. Couva was meant to be a growth bowl. Now it's just cobweb and desolate because the gates are locked, the facilities are locked, and access is only given by permission of the PNM. This is the PNM, and this is what you have across the board. Elections have consequences. So I'm sorry for the people in Kokie and Couva and all the people in all the pools. Imagine the pools are closed from Friday 4 p.m. till Monday morning 8 a.m. Closed. So children cannot, who have days off of school, cannot go there and learn to swim or do a water polo or get fit or do their rehab or their cross training for their football or their netball or their volleyball. Nothing, because that's the PNM insight. That's the PNM brain. Non-existent. Address textbook dilemma as we talk about no brain to the Express newspaper. All I can say to you is wow. On Sunday, the Express editorial says, address textbook dilemma now. The Ministry of Education, schools and teachers should work together to help families cushion the blow of inflation. With the value of family incomes eroded by higher prices, salary cuts and job losses, parents are feeling the stress of meeting the cost of books, especially those with several school-age children. Express, you now realize this? Express under Tim Gopi Singh and Kamla Prasad Bisesa from 2010 to 2015 September. The UNC spent every year $133 million in providing textbooks to our children. They also used to utilize the reuse of textbooks, the reuse program, which would add another $20 million in value per year. As soon as Keith Rowley came in, he cut that textbook program from $133 million down to $33 million. You didn't know that that would have not cushioned the blow, that would have been a straight blow onto the citizens. You only now realize that people are suffering for textbooks. You only just realize that 7 years later, after $700 million, the PNM divert it from our children to wherever they want to spend it, with Noel Garcia in charge of all the expenditure, or Newman George or Rowley's friends and lawyers and financiers, with no corporate governance, with ministers procuring. Express, you're now aware of this. You sat silent as people suffered. How many children suffered? How many families suffered? Yes, it's getting worse now, but by your own words, Express, isn't this a total indictment on the current government? Listen to what you write, not what the UNC say, no, not what Anil say, not what Kamala say. With the value of family incomes eroded. How are family incomes being eroded? Due to the lack of a plan, the lack of creativity, the lack of economic success of the PNM. That's how families' incomes are being eroded. The purchasing power of a dollar is being eroded because of the lack or the total incompetence of the PNM. Why you don't write that? This is why we have a government, to ensure that family incomes are not eroded, that the purchasing power of our dollar stays strong, that people can afford to buy books and afford to buy medicine and afford to buy food. That's the job of a government, Express. So you write these things and you just move on. The Express also says the incomes are being eroded by higher prices. Higher prices, yes, especially for food, because no agricultural plan, no agricultural policy, no import plan, nothing, no foreign exchange. So foreign exchange pressures on goods, because businessmen have to go and buy on the black market at $8.50 and $9 for US. That is adding the gas subsidy removal. When we said that it will increase transport costs for everything across the board, where were you, Express? You now know it's policies of the PNM. It's policies of Rowley. It's the incompetence of the Duen that has people suffering. Why are you unable to say that, Express? Why? They continue. Salary cuts and job losses. Who's in charge of job losses? There were job losses before COVID of 103,000. There was the shutdown of Petrotrin, shutdown of ArcelorMittal, the 2017 gas negotiation by Rowley and Smallpin, which caused 11 companies in Point Lisa has to shut down. The shutdown and the lack of job creation, the lack of creativity, the lack of diversification, the lack of any sort of movement forward towards growth. That is the PNM no plan. That is the incompetence of Rowley. But yet you can't say it. You just talk like that and say somebody must help the people get textbooks. Really? Well, Kamala was helping, Tim Gopi Singh was helping, the UNC was helping, and when you add on that now to laptops, to tablets, when you add on extra school feeding that Tim Gopi Singh and Kamala Prasad Bisasa had there, what about the extra gate funding, the funding for UTT Costard, the funding for MIC and NESC centers? All of that put together, you now understand that an incompetent government for 7 years has people in pain, and you say address the textbook dilemma now. Not 7 years ago, not 6 years ago, not 5 years ago, not 4 years ago. Do it now. The only way to do it is to get rid of the PNM. Say it, Express. Say it with me. The PNM must go. Rowley is the worst prime minister in the history of the Caribbean. They have no plan. Nothing works because they're totally incompetent. There is no intellectual capital in the cabinet. Say it, Express. Don't be afraid. Then the Guardian now. No easy road ahead in education. Listen to the Guardian now, the Guardian of Rowley's K-Parks, the Guardian of the PNM, the Guardian that tries to dig and take sand off of the political grave of Rowley and the PNM, when every aspect, every citizen, everybody from laborers to workers to teachers to children to students, everybody wants the PNM gone. The Guardian tries to keep them alive, but listen to the Guardian and all. The bigger concern now is the education recovery. After 52.6% of the students who did the secondary entrance assessment SEA this year scored less than 50%. Of that number, 3,000 pupils were placed in schools, although they scored under 30%. This places added pressure on teachers of Form 1 classes who now have the extra task of bringing students up to standard before progressing with the syllabuses. The Education Ministry had allocated 10 million towards remedial classes during the holiday and has also put in place a measuring mechanism in the form of a second test to be done by those students who scored below 50% when they reach Form 2. This is a good start. Really? Abject total nonsense. A 4-week program for children who spent 7 years in school and got less than 50% in a math and English and a creative writing exam. A 4-week program in which only 2,100 children attended out of 9,000 who got less than 50%. These statistics did not just occur this year. In 2018, for example, 814 children got 0 on the SEA. If that is 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, that is nearly 5 by 8. That is nearly 4,000 children who are now around Trinidad and Tobago in the ages 12 to 16 who are functionally illiterate, who got 0. So forget who got 49% and 40% and 38% and 28%, you know. What about the 4,000 who are wrong, who got 0? What are they doing? Can anybody say crime? Can anybody say generational crime? Can anyone say that the PNM is creating generations of criminal activity because of their lack of investment, thought processes, understanding, and the elimination of what was there and what was good and what was working under Tim Gopi Singh, Fazal Karim, and Kamla Prasad Bisesa? Can anybody say the PNM is deleterious to the good nature and good and the future generations of Trinidad and Tobago? Can you say it, Guardian? And you come here and they give some superficial nonsensical thing. Oh yes, let's go. In 4 weeks, 7 years we couldn't get over 50%. But in 4 weeks, somehow we're going to learn all of this, all of these equations, all of this mathematics, all of this grammar, all of this language vocabulary in 4 weeks. And you say that's a good start? This is the nonsense that a newspaper will print. That is rubbish. That has nothing to do with nothing. When you go back and look what Tim Gopi Singh had in education with the guidance counselors, the social workers, the remedial classes, the homework centers, the culture, the sport, the karate, the extracurricular, the talent identification, the teachers getting extra pay, the increase in salaries, the work, the coaches, the attention to detail. When Tim Gopi Singh had all that and Rowley came in and cut that 7 years ago, y'all said nothing. Now you come to say, oh, it's a crisis, so all you didn't know that actions lead to consequences. Y'all didn't know that. Y'all didn't know that cutting sport funding and cutting pan in schools and cutting art and culture and social workers and guidance counselors and cutting homework centers and extra teachers, cutting all of that. Y'all did not know when Rowley was doing that, when he was weaning the people off of Kamla's policies. Y'all did not know that we were headed for crisis, Guardian and Express. And now you say that a 4-week program, oh yes, my children got less than 50%. Only 20% of the 100% that got less than 50% turned up for the 4 weeks. And in that 4 weeks, what they really did? What the hell can you teach a child in 4 weeks that they did not learn in 7 years? And you print in a newspaper that that's a good start? You people are sick. You need help. These are complex issues that have serious ramifications down the line for individuals, for families, and for our society and our nation as a whole. And Guardian newspaper say, this is a good start. Put $10 million in a remedial program that nobody showed up to in 4 weeks and put them in school. And then in 2 years, give them the same test that they were supposed to do that they got for how many? will improve without any serious impact. Do you know how much time and effort it takes to teach a child who had a difficulty in learning a topic? Each child would require upwards of 40 hours individually to bring themselves up to a passing grade. How are you going to do that? You have not even built schools. You're not hiring more teachers. You're not paying teachers more. You're not giving them bonuses. You're not motivating them. You're not doing anything. And you come to say that's a good start? The good start began in May 2010 when Kamala Prasad Bisesa put Tim Gopi Singh to swear in as Minister of Education, and she, as a former Minister of Education, put investment and resources to deal with the problem. You then come in September 2015 and start to go backwards. And now we're reaping the whirlwind. And now the newspapers are all of a sudden, oh my goodness, it's a crisis. Really? I guess they didn't clean the rivers, and they didn't desilt the river mouths, and they didn't clear the drains underground, and they didn't monitor developments, and they didn't fix box drains and so on, and ensure that drains are clear. They didn't do any of that. They didn't bring the plastic bottle bill and so on. And every time it drizzle, it's flood all over. Where Rowley and Fitzgerald Hines and the PNM used to call areas in Central and South Lagoon reach Goodwood Park. Yes, Lagoon reach Port of Spain. Interesting. You couldn't figure out that if you didn't do all of that, that this would happen. So with the PNM, there's no thought process. There's no investment strategy. There's no long-term planning. There's no cause and effect in the government of the PNM, and that's upheld by the newspapers. The cabinet is supposed to be an area, bastion of intellectual planning, strategy, creativity to solve a myriad of problems. Does it strike you strange that nothing in Trinidad and Tobago works? And when you look at the cabinet, there is not one person who can be said to be a leader in their field that they're leading. The Minister of Education, the Minister of Local Government, the Attorney General does not even know you're not supposed to lie on an affidavit. The Prime Minister, a geologist who don't even know about stones. Look at it. A Minister of Health who cannot even pass a pharmacological exam. Now you wonder why nothing works. Because you uphold that, mass media. You say that's good. It's a good start, man. No school for many migrant children. Here the next problem. Migrants, illegal migrants, no border control, illegal migrants coming in here in the thousands, hundreds of thousands, and with their children. And now you allowing them in, you ain't blocking the borders, they're here, and then you're not going to allow them to go into school, so what them going to do? Huh? UE St. Augustine Guild to give out 60 bursaries. The University of the West Indies Students Guild says it will not allow tertiary education to return as a commodity only to be enjoyed by the haves. Well, it has returned under Rowley, because he said to you, all you people, wean yourself off the government. He cut GATE from 726 million down to 300 million last year. Under Kamala Prasad Bisesa, 59,000 students were accessing GATE in normal degrees and in tech work. Rowley cut that down to 21,000. 38,000 children per year, students per year less. What is that going to do? Create opportunity, create a brain wave to develop, moving into the fourth industrial wave, a digital economy to create apps and brilliance and diversify the economy? Or is that just going to thwart young people's zeal? That's what Rowley is. Rowley is a thwarter. But now the minister promises 7,000 laptops for school. Well, I nearly choke. And the media, y'all are very serious. The government of Keith Rowley came in and said, when Kamala Prasad Bisesa had begun in 2011, giving out 2010, 2011, 2012, giving out approximately 20 to 21,000 laptops to the Form 1 students who would have then gone Form 2, 3 and move on up, and was then going to primary school to give tablets for the children, to move us, to prepare us, to educate us, to have the children ready to move. Rowley said it's rubbish, it's nonsense, while his grandchildren have laptop, have tablet, have iPhone, have everything. He said it's nonsense, it's a waste of money for all your children because you all are duncy head children. Now, 7 years later, over 150,000 laptops less that would have been disseminated in the society and also would have assisted elderly and so on in the house to learn and to move with online this and online that, and educational opportunities, and young people advancing and using technologies and creating ideas that could blossom and diversify the economy. One app created in the States is generated over $2 billion US annually. That is more than oil and gas in revenues. If we have our bright children who could do that, develop 1 or 2 apps on behalf of the country through the investment of the government, that would be revenue for the taxpayers, for the citizens of this country. But Rowley burned fire on it. And Rowley said, and you all clapped, I'm going to take away the laptops from you. Now my grandchildren have. Yes, even the new one that he ain't even get to see yet. Them he go have. Yes, but not your children. Who is Kamala to give you laptops? You all are duncy head children. You all are not even bright enough to use it. In fact, giving you a laptop is distracting you from what you're supposed to do. That's what Rowley said. And now they come to say, Minister promises 7,000 laptops to school. Archie, you ever set a video? Play one. Show them that I ain't lie.
A main area of focus this academic year is the Ministry's Digital Transformation Program, comprising 13 projects, including the transition to e-books, the digitization of all teacher and student records, and the introduction of e-classrooms for all our teachers. These projects are currently ongoing, and just like the online SEA portal where you got your results at home, these initiatives will result in a paradigm shift in the efficiency and effectiveness of the Ministry's operations. In addition to the 40,000 devices already distributed in the last 2 years, 7,000 laptops will be distributed to students who are means test approved and also teachers starting this week.
Duncy head, first former. Duncy head, first former.
Addressing the information gap is important to fighting poverty. We must close that gap. The government will provide a laptop to each secondary school student this month. This will ensure that our children can compete in a world where knowledge is currency.
Duncy head, first former. Mr. Speaker, with respect to the question of the laptops, the provision of laptops to entry-level students is downright foolhardy. It is logistically burdensome on students and parents. It puts some students at risk. It is overly expensive. Mr. Speaker, given that a not insignificant proportion of our youngsters are challenged to score well in basic reading, a computer in some of those hands could be an unintended distraction. What is the purpose of providing these computers? When the whole school gets laptop, Mr. Speaker, on this explanation, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Education has a laptop for you. He thinks you're a duncy head first former.
In the school program, laptops, contributing nothing to the children's education and was disrupting the school program. And what your government did, we stopped the contractual arrangements. We did not take away laptops from children. We did not take away laptops from children. The expert on education at the university did an assessment of the laptop program and concluded by documentation that this multi-hundreds of millions of dollars that they were spending on laptops were largely wasted, contributing nothing to the children's education and were disrupting the school program.
A main area of focus this academic year is the ministry's digital transformation program, comprising 13 projects, including the transition to e-books, the digitization of all teacher and student records, and the introduction of e-classrooms for all our teachers. In addition to the 40,000 devices already distributed in the last 2 years, 7,000 laptops will be distributed to students who are means test approved and also teachers starting this week.
I don't know what to tell you all. I don't know what to tell you. That some of you could sit there and try to justify voting for that, for the PNM, for Rowley, for the Minister of Bundles, these dishonest human beings who suffer and create problems just for their own upliftment, to take resources from you, the people, so they could get 210 heading to 500 recusals. Make up and concoct nonsense that laptops are distractions and not aiding and abetting, not assisting in education. What total nonsense. And you all listened to that and you took your finger and voted for that. And now these shameless, dishonest liars come to pretend that they're giving you laptops. The fool in his slippers there with the toe jam, right? Looking like suffering from Taranji Banji in front of however many 100 laptops that he got to give children. The same Dunsehead children that he called your children and took it away while his grandchildren had access to everything, because them not Dunsehead. Just a reminder of what Kamala's vision was. And had this lying email gate clown who has decimated our country not hoodwinked the population with the assistance of the mass media and a corrupt EBC to sneak by a victory by 2,700 votes, Trinidad and Tobago would have been at the cusp of international education. Our children would have been ready to move this country further. They would have been the most sought out children in the world had this vision that Kamala had continued. Run it, Archie.
The future is here and settling nicely into the classrooms of Trinidad and Tobago. Indeed, it is a future that engages the minds of young people in ways that have begun to change the dynamics of education in this Twin Island Caribbean nation. Starting with a laptop for all first formers, the government of Kamala Persad-Bissessar is committed to taking the gadgetry to higher levels, feeding the thirst for knowledge with a diet that scientifically positions the student population for a rapidly changing technological world. The electronic classroom boards have already entered the system on an experimental basis. The Clark Road Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha Hindu Primary School in Penal has the first of 2 smart classrooms.
The Honorable Prime Minister, in her promise to the nation leading up to the general election of 2010, we had put forward on the manifesto the question of human capital development for sustainable development. And then it was one of the 7 interconnected pillars was the question of ICT and the connectivity within the population and ICT in education as well. And from day one, she had also promised to give the students entering into secondary school 1 laptop per child. And we have delivered on that. For the last 4 years, we have given close to 75,000 laptops to students, and who would be now in Form 1 to Form 4. We give to close to 5,000 teachers, primary school principals, secondary school principals, school supervisors. Together we trained close to 4,000 to 5,000 teachers on ICT skills and knowledge at different levels. And then in addition to that, we ensure that All 134 secondary schools have computer labs ranging some from 1 to 6, and some of the labs have up to 60 computers. And more than 300 primary schools have computer labs. And we're working to complete 176 more primary schools before September comes on.
That's so long ago that Tim Gopi Singh had plenty hair and all. Elections have consequences. This is not funny. It's not a joke. That's why Rowley and the PNM have to play a race card. Because on any aspect, any ministry, any plan, they fall woefully behind. Whether it's education, health, sport, culture, roads, works and transport, in energy, job creation, digital, wherever you look, the PNM falls dead last. So what do? They play the race card. That's why you hear this woman last 2 weeks ago, what's her name? Lazama Leasing, the one who had to get a secret PNM scholarship because she was too dunce to win one on her own, get $500,000 from Joe Newell and them secretly, and still could not even pass the exam. So dunce, but come to talk about bigging up emancipation and the organization, very good, the boots, excellent, and writing a speech, and in the same breath, with a smirk on a ridiculous, disgusting face, throwing race into the mix and trying to throw shade on the Hindu community and the East Indians, talking about Diwali Nagar, and she hopes that it could be as good as. What sort of thought process of these sick, racist individuals? Only a racist, that anybody who is normal, who just loves people, will never ever be able to make that connection that in praising one group, you need to write in a speech that you have to down cry another group and it would fall. So it's anyway. How sick do you have to be when you see a Mayor Junior Regrello who drunker than everybody, calling people in Princestown and across the board drunkards, that they were so drunk they must be here nothing, and talking nonsense about recalcitrant minority when he said they were going to be silent fireworks, and the fireworks were louder than ever. This man attacks human beings in the most racist manner, talking about recalcitrant minority, which was made famous by the PNM leader, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, and even Keith Rowley, who espouses racist policies during COVID, open fire discrimination against the Hindu community, rivers closed against the Indian community, fire attacks and burns fire on doubles and roti. Listen to what their doctor that they're going to celebrate and open library for he. Look at what he said. Between 1951 to 1956, the Mahasabha had erected 15 new Hindu schools, but many of these were rudimentary structures that could not pass building regulations. In the 1956 election, Williams had said they may call the schools whatever they wished, provided no school was a cowhouse or a place fit for chickens rather than children. And in July 1958, under constant pressure from the PDP, which was the then opposition, now changed to DLP, Eric Eustace Williams would declare, by all means let the Hindus have their schools, provided they are schools and not political cells. By all means let them have their teachers, provided their teachers are not apostles of racism. That is the most abject, openly overt racist statement from who you all call the father of the nation. He is not the father of the nation. He is the father of the PNM. He is the father of death, destruction, and evil over 60 years. He is the reason why our country is so far behind. He is the reason why we are suffering and our country is in the throes of a crime scourge like never before seen. Those are racist, nasty concepts that are now espoused by Rowley, Regrello, that Louis the one that Louis leasing, his daughter-in-law, Lazama leasing, the scholarship woman, by Thomas Aye, the independent PNM senator, who talks about if you have money to spend in the Wali Nagar, it's like spending it in carnival costume. And you all let that racist nonsense go past. And then now, I have to open a national newspaper. And see this nonsense. Crow celebrates milestone birthday. Crow has written some of the most vile, repulsive, racist lyrics in the history of Calypso. Crow is no bastion of unity, of nationalism and patriotism. Crow espouses racism at the highest level. Crow was seen in a Sept van calling people by racial epithets and then lie and say them say something to he first so he return it. Crow's Calypsos along with Joe Newell have led to the demise of Calypso, where Calypso is seen as only a PNM thing. We cannot even say an African thing because PNM is not an African party. PNM suffers black people. But these clowns like Crow use race to bolster their PNM so that they could have a walk. Crow, you remember when you was crying by Woodford Square and they had to bring Joe Newell outside by your trunk of your super saloon, your royal saloon, and you was going to sing against them and they had to give you something to keep you quiet back in 2001. You forget Crow, this disgusting, ridiculous man who writes the most racist words and sings them. You have PNM celebrating that. You have Ashton Ford saying at Crow's birthday and printed in a national newspaper, you know. What is this kitchery? Which newspaper is that? Sunday Express. So I am asking the Express newspaper, do you support the racist lyrics of Crow? Do you support the racist Calypso and the attacking of East Indian and Hindus in this country by someone proffering themselves as a Calypsonian because your newspaper has promoted Crow? So you are promoting the ideas of Crow, the lyrics of Crow, the racism of Crow, the nonsense of Crow, the nastiness of Crow. Express newspaper and Ashton Ford. Well, we know the PNM is of that, of course, but he just talks the truth. Ashton Ford says, former Arima Mayor Ashton Ford, in presenting an award to the veteran Calypsonian shed, when he told us he was going to sing Calypso, we laughed. He said, you all will be asking me for my autograph, says Ashton Ford, gushing. He proved us wrong. He has done well, singing racist lyrics, promoting division between Afro-Trinbagonians and Indo-Trinbagonians, ensuring the decimation and the demise of tents that the Indian people who used to pay the money to come and hear the newspaper, the People's Calypso, turned it and transformed it into a racist attack, a bully pulpit. And the PNM, you, Ashton Ford, say Crow has done well. So you, Ashton Ford, are endorsing the racist concepts and ideals of Crow. This is the PNM. That's why they have to play race card. And it's the douglAR telling you that. Here, Ashton Ford. He has done well. He has made a great contribution. I feel he should be given a national award. Really? A national award for dividing the nation, for attacking East Indians, for spewing hatred? Really, PNM? And you'll vote for that? And then you all want to call other people racist. Then on top of that, the Express boasting and Crow boasting that he killed what, 2 iguana and a goatee. But hunting season done since February 28, 2022. So where you get them iguana and that goatee to kill for his 70th birthday that Ashton Ford and the PNM went and eat? Where they get it? Or it's one law for the country and the next law for the PNM? And to the Express newspaper, I ask you, on behalf of the 309,000 supporters of the United National Congress, of all hues, all races, all ethnicities, if you promote the words, the ideals, the concepts, and the lyrics espoused ad nauseum by this man called Crocro, if you notice, I would not even dignify his nonsense, his tutu lyrics, by reading it out here on douglAR Politics, because it is sickening, it's divisive, it's nasty, it's full of hatred, and he's a total goat and a clown. And y'all are promoting him as a what? A national hero? Are y'all insane? Express newspaper? Well, if Express, if that is what you're saying, that you are promoting a man who divides and attacks East Indians and Hindus and Indians in this country, well then every Hindu, every Indian, every East Indian, and every right-thinking person who does not believe in race in this country, who believes, as Black said, if you cut me, you will see blood. If you believe that all of us are Trinbagonians, then the Express newspaper certainly cannot be your choice to read. Trinidad and Tobago, they had the spotlight on the economy. And then we see a UE economist, independent economist, University of the West Indies economist, Dr. Valmiki Arjun, is wondering whether any spotlight has been shone on what he describes as a country's cost of living crisis. This is the key thing. Don't let Imbut and them come and mama guy you. You are spending upwards as a middle class, well, middle class nearly gone, family of 4 with 2 children. Since 2015 September to now, you have been paying between $45,000 and $100,000 extra to keep Rowley in that seat of Prime Minister, as opposed to Kamla Persad-Bissessar, whether it's through gas subsidy, whether it's through laptops and education, gate opportunities, grants for your autistic children, differently able education grants, textbook grants, sport funding, culture, anything to assist. When Rowley took away all of that, you had to dip in your pocket and pay your hard-earned money, between $40,000 to $100,000 per year, to keep Rowley as Prime Minister. Think about it, not UNC people, not PNM people, all of you citizens in that range of middle class with 2 children, if you have 2 cars in your garage, when you start to bust tire and rims, that's a cost, because Kamla, with she maintenance, buck-strain government with Jack Warner, with George, with Suruj Rambachan, had the roads smoothly. Every time you lose things in flooding, because Rohan and them cut all the funding, no box trains, no maintenance, no desilting, no clearing, everything flooding. Every time you lose money, that's who you pay. You're paying for Rowley to be the Prime Minister. So the cost of living is in crisis, says Arjun. It does not change the fact that there is a deepening cost of living crisis in our country, more so for those in the middle and to lower income brackets. He said while TNT's inflation rate of 4.9% remains lower than other countries, prices are currently the highest they have ever been for generations. Our price index at June 2022 was 116.2, an 11% increase since 2016. 11% increase year on year. And we don't even have real statistics on inflation up to date like the USA, that they give you job numbers and so on, job creation, inflation numbers, bam, bam. Our CSO statistics have a lag. The purchasing power of households is what really matters, he said. While world food costs fell by almost 9% in July, given the modest increases in grain supplied from reopening of Ukraine's ports, we are yet to see anything meaningful, because no plan, no agricultural policy, nothing under Rowley, who said we don't have enough land to invest in agriculture, and he cut agriculture from 1.2 billion under Kamla to 2016 down to 400 million and continued therein with some mammagism about me making 500 million available, and not more than 18 million was made available, but they took away 25 million from the Agricultural Development Bank. So they try to give with one hand and take back more with the next one, and nothing is working. That's why, because the PNM, one thing Rowley did, he didn't lie on this one occasion. He told y'all that his new society, his vision for Trinidad and Tobago of the new society was one where you, the people, wean yourself off the government. He told you that. He did not lie, and you went and voted for that. Maybe you didn't understand what he said. He said, anything for you, I'm going to eliminate. So they see that program that Kamala and them was funding under FUAD kind of thing, are going to cut back that. Children Life Fund, make it difficult. Children cadet, no big thing. Cut back on sport, culture, cut back on gate, cut back on education, cut back on medicine, cut back on maintenance of roads, cut back on hospital supplies, and take all the money over here. Put Noel Garcia and Newman George, all of his Innis Gate neighbors, A.A. Kwamena, Richard Young, and Stuart Young, put them all there and spend the rest of all your money and let them recuse yourself and share it up. So the man told you he was going to do that. The one time he didn't lie. And you all said, oh, wait, if Rowley's prime minister, he's going to take away all the help that I get from my taxpayers' resources and being a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago that Kamala was giving me. He's going to take that from me and put it in his recusals. And you ran out there and said, yes, I vote for those recusals. I love them. Look at them. Oh, good. I love how Stuart Young family go. Oh, God, they're looking good, eh? So don't cuss me, PNM. Don't cuss Anil. Anil is trying best to tell all you and give all you the facts. Y'all run to dip your finger against yourself and your children and dip it for recusal twins, for Rowley, for Noel Garcia, for Newman George, for A.A. Kwamena, for Ingrid Lashley. You don't even know who she is. She on about 9 board. For Al-Rawi to get his rent. For Stuart Young, brother, to get $5 billion in work from zero before he swear in. For even Randall Mitchell, the stitches who can't do nothing, he and all recusing himself. You went and vote for that? Me? But something they didn't put the spotlight on there, Archie. I thank Jawala Rambaran, the true spotlight on the economy. The chart Imbot forgot to show you. Look at it carefully. Look at it. From 1990, 1989, that graph going up there, that's debt. That's how much you have to pay back. That's how much your children have to pay back. Look at 2015, going up, upwards to 2021. That's what the PNM has done. Borrowed, recused themselves, given contracts to their friend and family and the cabinet ministers and the cabinet ministers' wives. And you know who have to pay back while they have the profit? Not UNC, you know. All of the citizens. PNM, 322,000 of you all who dip your finger there. Well, forget the 30,000 who actually benefit, right? So 290,000, 288,000 of y'all who dip for that, you have to pay back that in your taxes, your children, your future, as well as paying now for Rowley to be prime minister. Yeah, we too, the UNC, but I mean, we at least have a good conscience that we didn't vote for that. So we could always kind of, while we grudgingly pay it and we suffer, we could say, boy, at least we weren't dotish enough to vote for it. But imagine you vote for pain. You vote for sufferation. Look at it there. Why didn't put the spotlight on that? Rowley and Young to meet with Proman, Shell, and BP. Let me ask you all something. Look at this picture and look carefully. If you could blow up that picture a little bit, Archie, I don't know if you could, but if you could, you could. Look at that picture. Now, if you all have ever heard the term corporate governance, right? That's a little too big here. Bring it down a little bit. Corporate governance principles are created to eliminate corruption. So the principle of corporate governance, tendering, procurement, and so on, the essence of it is to ensure that the ultimate decision makers are kept as far apart as possible to the service providers. So you would have a board, you would have a tenders committee of a board, you would have advertisement, you would have an evaluation committee made up of public servants who are there, career people who have security of tenure, and they're not acting in a position, so they're not beholden to any politician and they would then evaluate and go through a process, then send it to the cabinet, who would go through F&GP, so other ministers could keep their eyes on any other minister who may be trying to do shenanigans and so on. These are all checks and balances to ensure that it's very difficult to thief, to cut deals, to make, because remember, they're negotiating not on what is theirs. They are just temporary custodians of what is yours. Now, when you understand that and the principles of door thief, look at this picture. Look at this picture. The Prime Minister, the ultimate decision maker, and his Gary Sobers, the ultimate in his office of the Prime Minister, are sitting down in a room with the service providers only. Is that good corporate governance? Is that best practice? Does this encourage the defeat of corruption? Or does this look like it facilitates corruption? Is corruption easier in this room with these two by themselves, with those two having talks, secret discussions, no public servants, no technocrats, no media, no journalists, no questions, going all around just talking? Which one is easier to thief? The one that I told you about, the board and the tenders committee and the evaluation committee and the open tender and the advertisement and the F&GP and all the discussions and moving forward? Or this one? Which one is thief in time? And furthermore, didn't these two clowns go to negotiate in Houston in 2017? Similarly to what they're doing here? And all the people they went to negotiate with, and Jerry Brooks resigned from NGC. The people who are on the other side of the table in 2017, their profits went up 67%, and you, the people who they represent, these two fools, your money went down 67%. Now we don't know who other else money went up. Okay? But you have to figure it out for yourself. Isn't it amazing? Isn't that an interesting picture? And isn't it really unbelievable and shocking that is the office of the Prime Minister that put out that picture? Them so lost, them so gone. You allow them to do whatever they want. They're gone and got procurement to legalize thieving. They put ministers to procure galleons passage. The Prime Minister and his same minister went and buy 2 vessels down in Austral, and they tender and they open a tender and tell the next company the price that the other one tender, and then they drop the price and they share it out like dynamite. You all allow them to do that. So they have now made it into the norm, that it is normal for decision makers, the ultimate decision makers, to sit secretly and quietly with goods providers and present that to you as best practice. Good corporate governance, brilliant procurement, value for money, and no corruption. Them post that on the office of the Prime Minister, them take that picture. Amazing, isn't it? And here the Express. Windfall profits must be shared. Let's listen to the Express editorial on the 7th of September 2022. Conventional wisdom would suggest that before heading out to meet executives from the world's energy companies in Europe and the UK, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley should have publicly raised the issue of a review of tax on windfall profits derived from the oil and gas sector. After all, these companies are among those operating in this country that are currently reaping huge profits, far exceeding average profit margins, thanks mainly to the economic impact of the Russia-Ukraine war on global energy prices. So the Express, you don't find it wrong and strange that the end deciders, the decision makers are going to negotiate, are going to meet face to face with service providers. So Express, you don't believe in the principles of corporate governance, of tendering, of anti-corruption activities. You pass that. And then you try to say now that Rowley, the man who you let go to sit down in a secret meeting to meet with actual providers who are making, according to you, super profits. You are saying that Rowley should have made a statement here to say that he's going to negotiate increased taxes? Really? Or is it that Rowley should have been told or made to announce his full plan, his full agenda, and show the permanent secretaries, the technocrats, the CEO, the engineers from NGC, from Heritage, from Paria, from whoever, who were going to negotiate? Because all he could do is give the policy. He's supposed to say the policy. So the policy of the meeting or the agenda and the agenda goals would have been, according to you, increase tax revenue for my people from the windfall. Okay, if you say that's it. Try to encourage increased investment through negotiating tax and bid rounds and so on, blah, blah, blah. That's what the end user, the Prime Minister, and the next minister supposed to say, and then them supposed to really stay here, because they ain't going and meet the Prime Minister of Switzerland or England or Scotland. So them should have stay here and send the technocrats, the public servants, with an agenda decided and determined by the cabinet and the Prime Minister to get it done. But you Express, you approve and stamp a Prime Minister and his number one minister go for Lickbamsi K-Paxman to go and sit down with goods and negotiate in secret. So much so, Express, that you didn't even send a reporter. You talking about what Rowley should have said. So why you didn't send a reporter to ask Rowley when he going in meeting, what you going in there, what you talking about, why you talking, to interview Proman and say what he talk about, what's the negotiation, where are you, to interview, and so your reportage, Express, is taken straight from Rowley, office of the Prime Minister, Facebook. All you have no shame. TNT economy declines again, says CSO, but them come to spotlight and light up and gaslight all that. Oh, things are going good, we booming. 4% in the first quarter in 2020. As we talk about gaslight, Barry Padarat asked some serious things, right? He asked some serious questions. Kamal Georges, you are a member of the media, Kamal Georges. You were an anchor on a news station that promoted itself as fiercely independent, democratic, the truth. You were not only in the newsroom, you were the anchor. You were the one reading us the news that the population is supposed to trust you and your integrity as a journalist, Kamal Georges. So Kamal Georges, why are you hiding behind the PNM petticoat? Why are you hiding behind Lisa Agard's skirt? Why are you hiding behind Rowley and the Minister of Man? You believe in accountability, transparency with public funds. Why you didn't answer the questions? Forget that they're fighting not to answer. Them is corrupt. Them don't study corporate governance. Them just got procurement to legalize thieving. That's PNM. We know that. We didn't know you was a PNM. I mean, I know from the interview, two interview you do with Rowley, where you wanted to suck your ears. Look at that. Oh, girls, you could have smiled any big. I didn't know you had so much teeth in your mouth. You lick Bamsy clown. I knew it from then, so me ain't shocked. Right? But what I am saying, Kamal George's jail and I say, because them PNM ain't gonna be there forever. And if you are receiving taxpayers' dollars without process, without advertisement, without adhering to the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, wherever there is public money to be spent, people must be given the opportunity to compete fairly. So if there was no advertisement of the job, if the job qualifications for senior managers across the board in the public service and statutory and state agencies is that you have a certain level of education, upwards of masters. What is your qualification? What is your undergraduate degree in? Where did you get it? What are your grades? What is your master's in? Do you have a PhD? When was this job advertised? How much is the pay package? Who did you beat out? No, sorry. I shouldn't. Who did you beat out? Well, we know who you beat out because we know how you're getting work. But I didn't mean it so. Who did you beat who also interviewed for the job? How did you become aware that this job and position even existed, Kamal Georges? Because I have not seen an advertisement. So the country, nobody else in the world knew that this job was created, that it was coming out, and that they had an opportunity to earn large sums of money at a state-owned company, TSTT. Well, here comes Lisa Agard, right? Lisa Agard says, death without restructuring, death to TSTT. Really, Lisa Agard? Let's read what you say. TSTT CEO Lisa Agard, she's blunt in her assessment. It was restructure or die, she said. Given its accumulated losses, its debt of close to $3 billion, and the fact that its current liabilities exceeded its current assets by $153.2 million as of March 31st, 2021, Ernst & Young opined that TSTT's financial position may bring into question the entity's ability to continue in the foreseeable future as a going concern. TSTT's internal soundings of its financial health forecast that the company was expected to have an insufficient cash position by January 2022, rendering the company highly challenged to maintain its operations. Well, okay, Lisa Agard. Then how you hire Kamal? Why you create a new position that seems to be nothing other than a useless position and pay an extra salary if all of that what you said is true? And therefore 500, 700, 800 workers had to be tabled and fired because the cash flow position was so terrible that the company may have had to wind up. How you hire Kamal? Why you hire Kamal? How come you're paying extra salary if what you say is true? What Kamal do that's so sweet? But Kamal, let me I tell you something. I advise you not to spend $1 that salary you collect. Because let me tell you something, the government will change. And if it is proven when people are not hiding that you got a job to be paid with public monies without following the rules of the Ministry of Finance, the procurement, the HR rules that are standard, that means your job will be illegitimate. And if you receive illegitimate gains from the taxpayers, you will have to pay it back, Kamal. Okay? So don't go and spend. Don't spend yet, brother. Right? Because the country is sick of Rowley. Rowley could go anytime. He done get fling out. He done alone, he done by himself, he could get pelt out of that office of Prime Minister at any time. So Kamal, just leave the money there, okay? Because brother, if you spend it out, you will be in a mess to pay it back. Now, Archie, you have to help me with this one. You really have to help me. The mass media and to all my people there. The PNM came with some mamagism thing about local government. Since 2015, they talk about local government reform. They do nothing. They've done nothing except put a tight pants, tight vest man who going up in a thing to cut wasp nest with a double-edged puya. Right? They come to say they're going to have a consultation about local government when they are starving the corporations of the UNC. They are starving them, and the lady, the permanent secretary on the spotlight showed that even though legitimate releases were requested, that the PNM Ministry of Finance utilized two methods to severely cut back expenditure. One was delay, and the second one was not approving releases. Releases are legitimate allocations to corporations and so on. And you heard from Mr. Sammy, the chairman of Penal Debe. You heard from the Chaguanas mayor. You heard from Dave Tanku. You have heard ad nauseum from Barry Padarat and whoever. You have heard that the allocations that were approved, which were about 40% of that requested, only 30 to 40% of that was actually released, thereby rendering UNC-held corporations non-functioning. Geographical discrimination. We know about all of that. So when we see that there are 95 UNC councillors and aldermen, and one man went, Sanka, who's now the PNM superstar, all the good work my brother do, he never make up papers really, a little article here and there, a small picture on page 29 and thing. But since he defied Kamla, even though he say he didn't know it had any decision not to go. So I don't know how you just defy something that you didn't know. But no big thing, the PNM media say Sanka, 1 out of 95, defied Kamla because he went to the local government consultation. And he went to the independence celebration even though there was no boycott, anything. Anybody could have gone. I could have gone. I chose not to go and stand up next to Madam Bear Sleeper, the one who wake up from hibernation to dance the ballet to pan on the Esplanade in Tobago after she facilitated Rowley, her and Rowley misbehaving in public office to thwart the merit list. I choose not to go and stand and sit and skin and grin with them clowns. I stay on the ground with the people trying to get a little school books, a little uniform, and a little hamper and food and thing for people. That's my choice, and all of us had a choice. But they make this Sanka, this UNC councillor who defied Kamla, front page. He defied Kamla. Okay. But let me ask the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago something. Keith Christopher Rowley on at least 5 occasions publicly, arrogantly and strongly said, I am going to lay the executive summary of the FUL report in Parliament. He said it. And it had nothing at all you could do it. I'm going to lay it. What are you afraid? I'm going to lay it for the people to do. Rowley said that. Rowley said I'm going to lay it. Larry Lala say, excuse me, Mr. Man. It's still a country of laws. You ain't going to lay nothing. It has natural justice. It has the right to be heard and so on and so forth. And Larry Lala, attorney at law, wrote to the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, A.G. Lymore, the one who does lie on affidavit. What's his name? Reginald Armour. And Reginald Armour read Larry Lala's arguments and position and agreed with Larry Lala and went against and defied Keith Christopher Rowley and told Rowley, you cannot lay that in Parliament. It cannot be laid because I agree with Larry Lala. I agree with the principles of natural justice. I agree with the right to be heard, and that law is settled. And therefore, Rowley, fire burn you and your big mouth. You cannot lay it in Parliament. Where the Express, where the headline? Armour defies Rowley. Where the headline, where the front page? This is the Attorney General, second in command to the cabinet. Not a 1 out of 95 councillor, you know. not 1 out of 95 councillor, the Attorney General of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, this man tells this one, what you stated publicly, you cannot and will not do it. You must not do it. You are unable to do it. Stand down. Where the headline? Where the headline express? Newsday. Where the headline? Oh God, Guardian. Give boy the headline now. A little council, 1 out of 95, didn't know that the UNC was not going to the local government consultation. All you put he defied Gamla. Big page, hero, big picture. The sitting Attorney General tells Rowley, hush your mouth, you're talking stupidness. You cannot lay any dumb report there that is not duly authorized and properly constituted and completed by law. The silence is deafening because this one tells this one to shut up. You cannot do that. You have stated publicly, and I'm telling you, you cannot stand down. You will not do what you said. It is illegal, it is wrong, and you cannot do it. This one tells this one. This one defies this one. This one schools this one. Where the flipping headline? You, the citizens, still going to let the media mamaga y'all? Isn't it interesting? Aren't y'all all scratching your heads and going, Stanley John to lead a Guyana inquiry. Guyanese President Dr. Irfan Ali has appointed retired Trinidad and Tobago Court of Appeal Judge Justice Stanley John to head a commission of inquiry into the events surrounding the controversial March 2020 regional and general election that brought his People's Progressive Party, Civic, to power. Well, Fern Narcis Scope, Andrew Gabriel, Keith Rowley, all you better get attorneys quick. Because Commission of Inquiry, Fern Narcis Scope, what you was doing over there? What were you doing in Guyana during that debacle? Andrew Gabriel, were you there? What were you doing there? Who did you talk to? People were going to talk under oath, information. Don't let this story come out. PNM, you forget Lovell Francis say, all you win and the Duns UNC lost in Guyana as if UNC was in Guyana. Rowley, boy, all the authorities all over the world go be calling you. Fern Narcis Scope, you and your best friend Bundles. What? Bundles wasn't there. What you were doing in Guyana during that period? How long were you there? Who did you speak to? Who did you have meetings with? Is your name going to call in this commission of inquiry that has been called by President Irfan Ali? Rowley, did you send people there? You went there for a while. Who did you meet with? Who did you support? Who came here to Trinidad to meet you? What did they say? Andrew Gabriel, were you there? Why were you there, Andrew Gabriel? Were you there representing Rowley? What were you doing? Who were you meeting with? Were you part and parcel of the machinery of the losing team? Really? This is going to be very interesting. I bought a whole case of popcorn. PM, stop sending mixed signals on procurement law. The Joint Council for the Construction Industry of Trinidad and Tobago, again, you all allowed a man who came into power lying on email gate, who brought down Patrick Manning because somebody didn't get a contract to build a building, a man who claimed that he's a corruption buster, a man of Renaissance, a man of Landate, a man of Greenvale, a man who's the most warped in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. You put him as Prime Minister. There was legislation passed by Kamla Persad-Bissessar with a special majority to encourage and to enhance procurement processes to keep people money safe. This man and his Attorney General Tight Pants, Johnny Sukaran, went into the Parliament and the Senate and they gutted the procurement, removed all of the power from it in order to make the people's money less safe. He legalized thieving, and 7 years later, y'all are still writing to him and saying, stop sending mixed signals. The man ain't mix no signal. He tell you he is here to procure without procurement, and he's doing just that. He's the best negotiator. He's sitting down with pro man without any technocrats, no public servant, no agenda, nothing. No media, no journalists, no scrutiny, and y'all still saying he's sending mixed signal. What signal mix? The only thing mix is the douglAR. This man telling you all the frank comment that he legalized thieving. He creates ministers to procure. Any money spent is his friend and family. Noel Garcia building every house in Trinidad and Tobago. Airport, hospital block, school, police station, fire station, Red House, Prime Minister House, President's House. One man, Noel Garcia, sports stadium. And you all think this man here, this one, sending you mixed signals on procurement? His position is clear. He don't care about all the procurement. He come to procure without procurement, and he come to put interlocking directorships in charge of money. He put his own attorney in charge of oil after he shut down Petrotrin, and nobody told him shut it down. When a man tell him you better shut it down, because if I go down, all of we go down, and y'all still asking about mixed signals. The Palisade juice is deep in y'all. You can't open your eye and see. That's what you all elected. Pundit says to government, rethink removal of fuel subsidy. Well, to the pundit, you better pray. And you better get everybody else to pray. Because not only they remove it once, they remove it twice, they remove it 3 times, and all they didn't riot, so they remove it all, and it coming worse, and it's more pressure, and it's more inflation, and it's more sufferation. So my pundit brother, no amount of prayers could help Rowley and them see your way. They don't care about no people. They don't care about their own people who vote for them. They don't care about people who didn't vote for them. All they care about is themselves. And the money in a fuel subsidy is money that they cannot recuse themselves to get up and to divide up and divvy up amongst themselves, because the fuel subsidy goes to all the people. So good luck to you, even in the spiritual time of the Hindu.
The price of
and when we
fuel,
talking, play that man, yes, Archie.
I then realized that was not enough. I came back again in April and I raised it again by 15%. And I came back again just a few weeks ago and raised it by another 15%. They haven't rioted yet. So I might raise it by another 15%.
And he did. And then he raised it again. And then they're going to privatize. The full pressure has not come, because they still have a plan to sell out the gas station to their friend, family, and financiers, who would then mark up profit on top of the pain. So good luck to you all. And as we're talking about pain, look at this pothole. This is the norm across Trinidad and Tobago. Every nook. Actually, you see that? The man, if he only slipped there, he reached down in Australia. No. Look at that piece of wood. That's about 3 foot of wood. 3 foot of hardwood. Rowley, I know about that. Everything wrong, Rowley floppy. That, you see that? That is Trinidad and Tobago. And then here the Express. So already we saw the Express and Guardian saying joblessness, economy, no foreign exchange, food price inflation, things terrible, no procurement. Why are you not negotiating in public? What's your position with these companies? All of this in 2 editorial, which all says the PNM is incompetent. Look at the Express. Short-changing infrastructure. The 5th of September 2022. The problem with ignoring the need for routine maintenance until a special occasion comes along, such as an election, for example, is that the delay ends up costing so much more. This is especially so when maintenance work that should have been done in the heat of the dry season is delayed until the rainy season. The evidence abounds all around. What were cracks and fissures 6 months ago are today collapsed retaining walls and bridges, rotted utility poles and obstacle courses Courses of potholes masquerading as roads. River courses are swollen to the point of losing their way to the sea. And who knows what disasters involving underground pipeline infrastructure are living in the wait for us to discover. This is the Express. That is a total indictment on the government that you espouse and you put in position. Why don't you say so? But then the Express says the public can expect to see neglect giving way to government gusto because our election coming. So they are now making that the norm. That was not the norm under Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the People Partnership, the UNC government. Roads, box train maintenance, roads were smooth across the board, no election throughout the years. But you can't say that because you're a dishonest newspaper. The Commission of Inquiry into the 4 divers' deaths and the 1 diver who survived started today. But Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj says, legal aid is not our job. Ramesh, all right, it's not your job. You are being paid by the government that is looking like they are guilty of negligence and so on. But you are paid by the commission, by the taxpayer. So your salary, good, happy. But I'm just asking you this question, Senior Counsel Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, a man who believes in the judicial process, in fairness, natural justice, equity. Is it fair that the state, who stands accused by the public of negligence, lack of care, inhumane treatment, that the state has the taxpayers, the people's money to pay high-priced lawyers to defend themselves and put forward their position, while the lone survivor and the families of the dead divers are not given any money from the taxpayers to pay attorneys of equal ilk? Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, do you find that's fair? Do you find that's equitable? Do you find that a big-time attorney like you going against someone in legal aid who just out of law school, you find that's fair and that's going to promote justice? What's your opinion? I know it's not your job, but what's your opinion? And then this gentleman here, Jerome Lynch QC, Chairman of the Commission of Inquiry. I love your accent, sir. Today, you started off and you made a plethora of complaints. Lack of resources, that you're being stymied. You don't even have a printer, no research people, and it's just a total sham. There's no resources for you to do your job properly. Well then, sir, I have just one question for you. Are you hungry, sir? Are you hungry? Because any professional, anyone who believes in what they're doing, and if you believe as a chairman of a commission of inquiry that you're required to get down and get to the truth, where 4 people died, the whole country is looking, you need to get present a report at the end that has some efficacy, some weight, some value, and you require resources. You require not only a printer and a research officer, you require experts, expert analysis, divers, expert divers, people to go down with video footage, to even go down now and give you a inside full picture of what was there, what happened, what took place. You need to get underwater marine experts and so on. Lots of people. You need money to buy experts, to pay them to give you information. So if you're telling me you can't get paper and ink and pen and printer and so on, sir, are you hungry? Because why are you still there? Because any other professional worth their salt would have walked away. They would have said that this is a sham, and the job that I can do, I cannot do it well. I cannot do what I'm supposed to do here. I cannot bring value to money and value to the people of Trinidad and Tobago and burn you all with this nonsense. That would be the normal position. It's like I'm being an Olympic coach. They tell you you are the coach, but the athletes have nowhere to train. No pool, no gym, no access to run, no food, no Gatorade, no massage therapy. Are you going to try to say that you could prepare athletes to go to the Olympics? You would only stay in that job if you are hungry, if you want a trip, if you want to say that you went on a plane, because you could not want that job to uphold the tenets of your profession and to uphold your class. So, sir, Mr. Jerome Lynch, I hear you. They're starving you for resources, but my question to you is, sir, are you hungry? I'll get some doubles for you. Murders hit 400. Well, the past that must be 406. But look at a Talbot. Actually show them a Talbot crime fighting plan. Hey, when all you're dead, Ethelbert go make sure it has resources to take care of the dead. That's the plan. Run it, Archie.
That because we hired another one, we have 3 pathologists. Recently, one retired, and we are in the process of getting another one very quickly so that they could do the post-mortems and get these things going far more quickly. We improved the number of mortuary attendants, the people who assist the pathologists in doing their work. So now we have 7 of them on the job. All to make the pathology unit in the Forensic Science Center far more efficient.
So the PNM crime plan is all you go dead, all you go keep dead in. And the more all you're dead, don't worry. We hire more people to take care of all you when you're dead. So that you wouldn't have to line up and your parents wouldn't have to cry. It wouldn't have no lineup. We go get rid of the dead quick. That is PNM. Not we go stop the murder rate, not we would stop, not we will cut, not we will lock down, not we will prevent people from being killed left, right and center, none of that. When all you're dead, because all you're going and dead, we can't do nothing, so all you go dead. But we tell all you as the PNM, great is the PNM, when you're dead, you don't have to line up. Elections have consequences. $1 billion. Remember that liar, Johnny Sukaran? The one who shamed to be Indian and plain his name is Al-Rawi. Every time he came out and he tell all you about Anand Ramlogan and the UNC and $1 billion in legal fees and all of that, when he was lying, and then he just comes to talk about what he as the Attorney General, what he gave out, knowing full well that when he was talking about Anand, he was talking about the entire government, which means statutory authorities, state agencies, special purpose companies, all of these different areas and people that hand out legal briefs and have cases all around the entire government. So that nastiness liar Johnny Sukaran would do that. But now the truth comes out, and it shows when you compare, he is the -- 1 spender in the history across the board, and this wasn't even all the information. And his responses, and all of these fellas who get millions and millions of dollars like Russell Martino and them is the ones who went and say, yeah, he lie on affidavit, but he's a good fella. He's a good boy. He lie on affidavit. You're not supposed to do that. But he was in a hotel room and he was this and that. All of them. And then Al-Rawi come to talk about, well, it's Anand Ramlogan, so it have a conflict of interest. No Al-Rawi, no tight vest, like the tight vest stifling the little bit of oxygen that was going to your piece of brain. It's your Attorney General, the PNM Attorney General, and the Office of the Attorney General who provided the information after it was requested by FOIA. So your boy Limo, the man who replaced you and put you to use Puya to look for Cayman and drain, is he give the information, and the information still is lacking. So it's over $1 billion in legal fees from an Attorney General who lost 31 out of 31 cases at one point in time. That is PNM. That is all you vote for. Well, boy, government, I'm reading something here. Government dismisses UNC spine claims. Okay. Dr. Rudal Munilan on douglAR Politics came and brought a cabinet note and showed that the PNM cabinet in 2018 approved, and it was a cabinet minute, so that meant it was confirmed. So they approved the cabinet note and they confirmed the minute the week after for the establishment of a memoranda of agreement and a non-disclosure agreements among government ministries, statutory authorities, other legal entities, and the SSA for sharing and management of data to the National Operations Fusion Center. That's the cabinet note. The Newsday comes to put government dismisses UNC spying claims. Come to me there, Archie. So I go on to read. And now, if you're going to dispense with that allegation, the first thing you would come and say is, that's not a cabinet note. That never occurred. That is rubbish. That's a fabrication like Emailgate. You'll say that. Let's hear what Simon the Nosebreaker, let's hear how he says he refute what Munilal brought and what you see there as a cabinet minute which is approved. This one here, this clung. Let's hear him. First of all, he says, in response, Communication Minister Simon de Nobrega said The UNC has made a concerted effort to take to social media at every opportunity it can to make the most outlandish comments which are at the heart of their perpetual campaign of misinformation. Really? There's a cabinet note. Please tell us that this cabinet note does not exist, that you in the cabinet did not approve this. Cabinet minute 1971 of November 16, 2018. You see, you didn't do that. You come to tell us about the UNC and social media. Maybe he debunked it after. Okay, let's go to the second point. It comes just in time to try and turn the attention away from the recovery of the economy. There is no recovery in the economy. There's no attention to be taken away. You think anybody believe your stupid spotlight nonsense? And we are talking about a cabinet note base brought by you to spy on citizens and to get people's private information, an illegal cabinet note without the authority of parliament, without any law to back it up, with the SSA to give the information garnered on citizens to your PNM subcommittee of the cabinet, the National Security Council, and you're talking about the economy? Well, he didn't debunk anything yet. Let's go to his third point. This brilliant, intelligent fellow who got in Fatima on the 20% and could not get into Form 6 because he was too dumb. Let's see. Point 3. These social media shows are conducted without the immediate scrutiny and interrogation of the media. Ooh, really? So where's the interrogation of the media in Switzerland or Germany or Proman or BP right now? Where's the immediate scrutiny? So you are saying that this social media show like douglAR Politics, we don't bring facts and things because the media not here to ask no question? Okay, that's your position. It's a stupid one, but what can I say? Well, therefore, I turn it to you now, Simon the Nosebreaker. So your Prime Minister and the other small pin minister who are now meeting with goods and service providers without media, without journalists, without information, without public servants, without answering questions. You are now saying that your Prime Minister and small pin are fraudulent based on your logic. Okay, boy. Well, I hope you have a portfolio when you come. You saying that, you know, not me. Let's go, let's see. Well, let's go to point 4 he made. He must have said, no, it's not true. We never, as cabinet, we never approved that cabinet note. What Munilal showed there, what Anil showed there, what's up there, it's false, it's false. He must say that now. We saw the true nature of the opposition in totality with their refusal to attend the regional showcase that was Agri Forum and the Expo, and their boycott of all national... Wow. Being dumb does not go away with age. I think it gets worse. Like being dumb is like a fine wine. You get dumber with age once you start off dumb. This man going to talk about Agri Forum and Independence Celebration. We talking about an illegal cabinet decision and confirmed by this minute number 1971 of November 16, 2018, taken by his cabinet to share secret information with the SSA, which is totally outfitted with political appointees of all of these, including private companies like Digicel, Green Dot, TSTT, B-Mobile, Port Authority. Well, TSTT is government owned, but all of the citizens' private information, all of that signed, sealed, delivered by the cabinet secretariat. He come to tell me about Agri Forum. Well, he said our 5th point. So it must be the 5th point. We were waiting for the wisdom of the nosebreaker. Let's hear the 5th point. They excel in the bacchanal of their brand of representation. Wow. Simon the Nosebreaker, you are a special kind of idiot. So ladies and gentlemen, this, put back the cabinet minute, that is proven by the statements of this clown Simon the Nosebreaker, who cannot deny it. What Rudal Munilal presented on douglAR Politics is 100% factual. It shows dictatorship in totality, to sneak and to spy on you, the citizens, under political control of the SSA with the Pegasus or any spyware that they have that has now been made operational to the SSA without any checks and balances from the independent police. This clown has just confirmed that everything Rudal Munilal said is true, and the PNM cabinet approved and agreed upon that illegal document way back in 2018. Thank you, dum-dum. Let me just show you that the PNM is true to themselves. They are true to the core. They are true, Archie, from since inception to now, that they come to hoodwink you. They jump on your backs. They play the race card, pretend to be black when they are really elitist. They get into power to only feather their nests and the nests of their family and financiers. They did it back then, and the message is the same now. Would you like the douglAR to prove it to you? Archie, please put up the flyer, the main poster, the manifesto of the PNM from 1956. Let's have it. Archie, put it up there, man. Let's read the election manifesto for the general election, voters of Trinidad and Tobago, September 24th, 1956. Right? You have had 6 years, says the PNM, of corruption, misgovernment, maladministration, extravagance, ignorance, inefficiency, individualism, and party acrobatics in public affairs. We know you are tired of this. Therefore, next, what's that? You must vote political education, P, N for nationhood, and M for morality in public affairs. The PNM is the only party in Trinidad and Tobago which is national in scope, democratic in nature and practice, disciplined in methods, dedicated to the promotion of the general welfare, based on clear-cut program, proud to admit its intelligence and capacity for the science of government. Vote PNM on Emancipation Day, September 24th. Independence Day, September 24th. And they are douglAR pepper, 1956. The same nonsense that the PNM tells you. They fool you and they hoodwink you. And for 60 years you have suffered because you put them in power and they take care of themselves with their recusals, their friends, family, and financiers. It was so then, and it is so now. Rid this country, this beautiful country, of the PNM. Vote them out in whatever elections come. Obliterate them from constituencies that they call safe havens, because nowhere in Trinidad and Tobago is safe. I'll go in and use some douglAR pepper. Archie and them go let you know where you could get at. Plus, we got more douglAR politics jerseys. Archie, you know, on the website, you'll get them. I'm taking this pepper though. I have to eat some curry later. Good night.